Kicking off the list at number 10. Particle accelerator. We love science experiments. Baking soda and vinegar, a DIY volcano, boom, let's make a mess. But what if we flew too close to the sun? What if one experiment could, I don't know, hypothetically swallow our known universe? Sounds fun, let's do it. Sir Martin Rees, Britain's royal astronomer, shines some light on a dark possibility in his book, On the Future. The particle accelerator is this massive machine that does exactly that. It smashes these charged particles together at a high speed, all in the name of science. Now we're trying to further understand condensed matter physics, and while it sure sounds impressive, what if it goes south? What if somebody fucks up? Well, if that happens, it could possibly destroy our known universe. Apparently, these particles smashing together could create this strange matter that shrinks Earth down to 300 feet in diameter. So we'd be tiny or dead. Either way, we'd be like, oh shit. Or it creates a black hole that would suck away our entire existence. Thanks, Martin. Now we'll be able to sleep because I'm thinking of particle colliders. Freddy Krueger and also particle colliders. I'm like, this holiday season sucks. Can't sleep. Number 9. Black holes. Christopher Nolan can't even save us from this one. There are 3 types of black holes. We got stellar, supermassive, and intermediate mass. And they can all kill us easily if they wanted to. Black holes are formed when a star dies. And in turn, we get the strongest Dyson vacuum ever. It sucks in light, so of course we wouldn't make it. There's no chance. There's about 10 million black holes in the Milky Way right now. And the closest one is about 1,500 light years away. So we're looking good for now. We actually got a photo of a black hole not too long ago. It's beautiful. We're learning more and more every year. And one of the scariest facts that I heard was that black holes will be the last thing in the known universe. And these things orbit as well. They don't just sit in the same spot. Like everything else in the galaxy, black holes are also moving around, which means one will eventually get close. Do you think they would tell us if a black hole was about to swallow us? I sure hope not. I mean, no spoilers, come on. I'm only on season 27 of my life. Keep it real. Number 8, solar flares. Solar flares just sound scary, you know? Our star heats up, we literally revolve around it, and it blesses us with life and tan lines and all the good stuff, but sometimes she acts up. Sometimes she creates these powerful magnetic fields that create sunspots larger than our planet. This then creates a stream of radiation. It's called solar wind. Now normally this is a beautiful event. The northern lights happen because of Earth's magnetic field reacting to this radiation. But too much of a good thing can be disastrous. This month even, on October 9th, a large solar flare was spotted, and 3 days later, it hit. The geomagnetic storm reached category G2, which out of 5 is still quite strong. The biggest solar event was actually back in 1859. It's called the Carrington event. It was strong enough to disrupt telegraph communications, even shocking some telegraph operators. Imagine that, if this happens again and it's stronger, we're looking at power outages on a massive scale. You'd be playing VR, then all of a sudden your eyes are like, poof, and just explode. Lovely, immersive. 10 out of 10. Number 7, moving stars. We look at the pyramids of Egypt in awe for many reasons, but as far as placement goes, these 3 pyramids align with the stars of Orion's belt. But what happens when these stars, like everything else in our known universe, moves? The pyramids won't ally with stars forever. They will wander, but which direction will these stars go? That's the question here. Well, right now our sun is traveling through the Milky Way. It's carrying us along. We're in this moderately chill space bubble right now, but when we leave this region, say in, I don't know, 50,000 years, we have a great chance of bumping into one of these wandering stars. You think our climate is changing now? Well, you better learn how to be immortal and hang out for 50,000 years. Be a vampire and you'll see what a comet looks like up close. It's very cold and hot at the same time. We're not gonna survive. We have like 20 years left, realistically. Number 6, artificial intelligence. Okay, this one sounds silly, but we're actually quite close to getting Ultron in real life. God help us. We have robots that do parkour now. Like you can push these things, they would still continue to silly walk. Have you seen those videos where they get pushed and they're like, bleep, and they keep going? That's crazy. Now imagine if Siri decided to go rogue one day and then take over the body of one of the Boston Dynamic robots. We're f***ed. It's game over, that's it. I've seen iRobot, I don't want any part of this. No thank you. According to CB Insights, where they asked 52 experts, 52, so specific, they all agreed that AI will eventually be our downfall, and by that time, it's too late. I'm sweating reading that, what? The late Stephen Hawking said AI would be impossible to control. Elon Musk has been reinforcing how crucial it is to regulate AI. We can't regulate technology that we can't predict. That's the main thing here. Even Vladimir Putin says AI will have a profound impact on global politics. And are we really going to disagree with Vladimir Putin? No, we're not. Next. Number 5, asteroid impact. Number 5, asteroid impact. Of course, one of our leading theories as to how humans can all of a sudden go extinct is an asteroid. We've seen movies. These suckers have caused large-scale extinction events before us. Every time there's a meteor shower, people think it's beautiful, when in reality it's like sitting near first and third base at a baseball game. It's flying at you non-stop, like we're way too close. Every meteor shower, I'm just like, if one of these days an asteroid got too close, it would pretty much mean the end of humanity, regardless of where it hits on Earth. In fact, an asteroid named Apophis is set to slam into us in 100 years or so. Now, we originally thought that it would hit in 2029, but now we can add 100 years on top of that. It's a big orbit. So we're okay for now. For your grandkids though, heads up Whoville, good luck. Number 4, global warming. Okay, this one's on us, folks. Or at least a little bit. We're for sure to blame in some capacity. Now I'm trying to fight it. Around 90% of scientists say that humans are to blame for global warming, especially people who vape. That's what they said. I read it myself. I'm not making that up. According to climate.gov, we're cooking our planet with heat-trapping gases. Greenhouse gases in the atmosphere equals heat. Our global average temperature has gone up 1.8 degrees Fahrenheit since the late 90s. Carbon dioxide, methane, ozone, nitrous, and numerous chlorofluorocarbons, which is fun to say. Chlorofluorocarbons, nice. More like borofluorocarbons. Billy Madison reference. Stop littering. Next. Number 3, Yellowstone National Park. Nothing like a big old volcano to shake up your day. The supervolcano rumbling under Yellowstone National Park could wipe out millions if it decided to go off one day. It's exploded 3 times in the past. 2 million years ago, pop. 1.3 million years ago, pop. And then 664,000 years ago, boom. The next one, well, it could happen as soon as you click like and subscribe. How scary is that? Back in 2014, a team of researchers laid out what an erupting Yellowstone could actually look like in real life, and it's terrifying. It's massive. Entire states would be gone. Poof. Hot magma would then rain down as far as San Francisco, and on top of all that chaos, volcanic ash would cover most of our sunlight. It would be a dark and cold world for a little while. They of course had a Yellowstone scene in the movie 2012, and while sure, it's cinematic, I guess, it would be a lot louder and way faster. You can't check your rearview mirrors while Yellowstone is blasting off. I'm sorry folks, you just can't do this. Number 2, expanding sun. Our sun isn't strong enough to create a black hole after its death, which is a nice thought after hearing about black holes, sucking at light and your hopes and dreams. This is good news. But we do know that our sun will eventually die, and it's set to happen in about, drumroll, 7 billion years, so plenty of time to get that tan at the water park. We're still looking alright. It'll eventually become a white dwarf though, just floating in the cosmos. Now we won't get to see this of course because we'll be long gone, but if anybody is still hanging out by then, just still kicking it, still heliing around, they'll unfortunately witness the sun get larger and cooler. It's predicted that it'll suck in Venus and Mercury, but as for Earth, well, solar winds generated would hypothetically be strong enough to slow Earth down. So we wouldn't get sucked into the sun, we would instead face a slow, hot death. And you thought it was hot outside now. Well, hang out for a bit. Well, it's pretty bad, but it'll get worse. And finally, number 1, nuclear weapons. In 1938, history changed forever when German nuclear physicist Otto Hahn Fritz Strassmann and Lise Meitner discovered nuclear fission in a lab in Berlin. They discovered that an atom splitting into lighter atoms caused a powerful blast. This was groundbreaking. Humans discovered a new way to power technology, but at the same time, they opened the door for nuclear horrors. Atomic bombs. On July 16, 1945, the Trinity test was conducted. The first atomic bomb was detonated in a New Mexico desert. It was deemed a success, with mushroom clouds reaching up to 40,000 feet high. This test changed history forever. Roughly 110,000 lives were later lost at Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and many believe that nuclear warfare will truly be the end of humanity. The pure impact alone is one thing, but nuclear winters, where clouds of dust and black smoke just block out the sun for days at a time, could obviously have lasting effects. For example, if there was an all-out nuclear war between Russia and the United States, officials predict that temperatures would drop 8 degrees for 5 or 6 years, so we wouldn't even be able to grow food at that time. It would be absolute chaos. Stop bombing each other. Kicking off the list at number 10, robots. Are robots taking over? Is this a real thing we have to worry about? Well, according to Hans Moravec, founder of the robotics department of Carnegie Mellon University, yeah. He says yes, 100%. He predicts that by 2040, robots will not only be on par with human intelligence, but also human consciousness. That's lovely. I can't wait to come home from work one day and have my Dyson vacuum just vent for about an hour. That's great, can't wait. My Dyson. We get it. He predicts that robots will overtake us as the dominant species, but he also thinks that robots will love humans at the same time. That's gross. I don't know how I feel about that. I'd rather a robot hate me than love me. That's almost worse. I don't know. It's like, did you have a good day today? I'm like, stop, get away from me. Dyson. Hans says, consider the human form. It clearly isn't designed to be a scientist. Your mental capacity is extremely limited. You have to undergo all kinds of unnatural training just to get your brain even half suited for this kind of work. And for that reason, it's hard work. You live just long enough to start figuring things out before your brain starts deteriorating, and then you die. Isn't that lovely? I wanted to start this list off with something nice and horrible. But wouldn't it be great if you could enhance your abilities via artificial intelligence and extend your lifespan and improve on the human condition? No, I say no. What do you guys think of that? Sound off in the comments. I'm gonna go through them because this shit terrifies me. Anything with robots getting smarter than us, that's worse than AI. They have bodies. Number 9, pole reversal. This one, I'm not gonna lie, is also quite spooky. Every 100,000 years, give or take, Earth's magnetic field fades away until it's practically non-existent. And then boom, it starts to come back. But with the poles being flipped, north and south did the old flipperoonie. The last time this happened was about 780,000 years ago. That's the concerning part. In the past century alone, Earth's magnetic field has dropped 5%. So it may be upon us, folks. It could be happening tomorrow. This is a big deal for humans. If the poles were flipped while we were still alive, we would see decades of blackouts. Radiation from space would now hit Earth, thanks to the lack of Earth's magnetic field pushing back. Animals would literally get lost. Birds wouldn't have any idea where to go, nor would sea turtles or whales. These animals rely on that magnetic field. Worst part of all this, space radiation would make parts of Earth uninhabitable. No more grad trips to Dominican. Sorry, Blake. Number 8, simulation terminated. Perhaps one of my favorite theories has to be that we're all in a simulation. I'm not even real. I'm just in your screen right now. I'm fake. I'm not a real person. With Mark Zuckerberg creating this new metaverse, that theory is now only getting stronger. The chances that we're in a simulation, no joke, is 50-50, according to scientists. Elon Musk was asked about living in a simulation at a conference years back, and I've thought about something he said since. Apparently he's been talking about simulation living for a while. Yeah, the guy who launched a car into space also believes we're in a simulation. Nice, hit that thumbs up. Are we real? I don't know. Does it matter? I don't know. He mentioned how video games are getting better and better, and eventually we won't be able to distinguish games from reality. Like VR and stuff, that's crazy. I play Super Hot and I'm sweating. My body's literally sweating right now. The podcast Star Talk featuring Neil deGrasse Tyson, who of course touched base on this theory, he thinks that if we were virtual humans in an intergalactic game cube, that reality would render around us as we moved around, like in video games. You enter a room, then it loads. He also believes that might explain why we can't travel faster than the speed of light, so we couldn't get out of this solar system. He joked about the programmer putting that limit in. Yeah, funny joke, Neil. Are we in a simulation though, Neil? What's up? Number 7, cool down. Sometimes I forget that there's a massive ball of lava at the center of our planet. The core is obviously quite crucial to the planet's survival, but what happens when it starts to cool down like other stars? The Earth's magnetic field is created by the molten iron at the center of the world's core, so this one might have already begun. They kind of go hand in hand. The Earth's core is already hotter than the sun, so scientists predict that it'll take a little bit longer until that cools down, which is a good sign for us. The sun has about 5 billion years left, while the core of the Earth has 90 billion years. So we've got time, but future generations are, don't tell them. Number 6, out of orbit. The amount of rogue planets that are out there might just exceed the amount of stars in the Milky Way. That's terrifying. Rogue planets happen when a planet gets swung out of orbit. Now this could mean a few things for us here on Earth. If a rogue planet were to make an appearance, even if it didn't come close to Earth, changing the orbit of any planet in our solar system would inevitably end us all. Even a tiny degree, it would just be like, and then we'd fly away. If it were big enough, one of these rogue planets could straight up knock ours out of the way, like some sort of cosmic game of marbles. Or perhaps Earth could have its orbit thrown off even in the slightest bit, and we'd either freeze to death or melt. Either way, it would be a slow, very painful process. Number 5, earthquakes. Of course, earthquakes are on this list, but for this video, I'm specifically referencing a potential earthquake that could come back with a vengeance in Chile. Sorry if you're living in Chile, heads up. Back in 2010, an earthquake hit there and it had a magnitude of 8.8. It was triggered by the collisions of the Pacific Plate and the Nazca Plate. That one that already hit, it was bad. It triggered landslides, blackouts, and of course, a massive tsunami followed. Scientists believe now that this earthquake only released 1/3 of that built up tension in those plates. So any day now, another could hit and it could be even bigger. On November 2nd, recently actually, a 5.7 earthquake did hit Chile. So perhaps it's already begun. Stay safe. Number 4, gamma burst. Look out, Bruce Banner. We've got some gamma. When we look at extinction level events like, say, a meteor hitting the planet, we can bounce back from that. Evidently, we can come back from that, right? Sure, we lost some dinosaurs along the way, but millions of years later, we're wearing jeans, we're wearing jorts, we're popping, it's great. But when it comes to gamma rays, planets can't really come back from that. If a gamma ray happened at any time in our past, be it millions of years ago, like meteors, we'd still be screwed even this long after. Gamma rays happen when stars explode in distant galaxies. Light shoots out, radio waves shoots out, there's neutrinos, and of course, gamma rays. They're created when powerful magnetized objects collide, like neutron stars and black holes. Now, it's far away, it's very far away, but still it's so bright and powerful. These rays shoot out across light years of space. If they were to hit Earth or come close, well, our ozone would be toast. We would be engulfed in chemical smog. No bouncing back from that ever. Number 3, antibiotic resistant. Shout out to my fellow hypochondriacs. This one is for you. Go eat some vitamins. These last couple years, obviously, we've seen the importance of medicine, I'd say, without getting too deep into it. Since penicillin was discovered in 1928, for example, we've been getting pretty good at this whole medicine thing, right? The common flu is, it's maintainable. But what happens when we enter this post-antibiotic area where these infections are getting stronger and adapt more and more to attack us? Well, according to the World Health Organization, the efficiency of the world's antibiotics are working less and less. Dr. David Weiss, director of the Antibiotic Research Center at Emory University, says that this will change life as we know it. Consider going back to an era where a minor accident like a scrape could lead to death. Awesome, that sounds great. I can't wait to trip over my Heelys and then instantly die. Sounds like a blast. Go team. Good game. Number 2, a nearby supernova. For this next one, we'll be looking at Betelgeuse. And no, I don't mean the wacky Michael Keaton character, although I'm pretty sure he could take us out if he wanted to. We'll leave it at that. I'm talking about the red supergiant that began to dim in 2019. It lives in the constellation Orion, and this star is so massive that its decay is threatening us here on Earth. The last time we saw a star go supernova was the Kepler star in 1604. It was beautiful and big and bright for weeks, even during the daytime, but when Betelgeuse finally pops off, are we far enough to be okay? Do we need to wear Oakley sunglasses for 3 weeks? God, that would suck. Scientists agree that we need to be much closer for the radiation to cause harm, but with our previous knowledge of part 1, with all these wandering stars and planets just shooting out of orbit, who really knows? Number 1, phosphorus shortage. For hundreds of years, there's been a worry of not being able to feed Earth's ever-growing population. This problem really came into fruition in the late 20th century. The lack of nitrates and ammonia available to humans was getting pretty concerning, but luckily, German chemists Fritz Haber and Karl Bosch were able to come up with a process that takes gas from the air to turn it into fertilizer. That surely helped. But more problems were then on the rise. We began to realize our shortage of phosphorus. Our bodies need phosphorus for energy and to build DNA, so yeah, it's a tad important to us. We are about 30 to 40 years away, but the need for biofuel could push us even closer to the edge, making that number even smaller. That's tough because as important as biofuel is for all those reasons, it will now create this new phosphorus problem. Classic. Let's just go to Mars. I think that's the realistic solution here. Just pack up and jet out.
Number 10, we have the sun exploding. So guys, we just need to come to terms with the fact that one day the sun will explode. It's a star, it has a lifespan, it is inevitable. The good news is that we're probably a few million years off this happening just right now. Now the sun is made up of hydrogen, which will one day burn out, but before that happens, the sun will expand into a red giant. Now this may in fact burn up our planet, it will certainly change things for planet Earth. Our sun is roughly in the middle of its life cycle and is expected to get to red giant status in a few 100 million years, so no biggie. As crazy as it sounds, number 9 could be a more pressing issue. We have aliens. Okay, so this may well be the most ridiculous thing on the list, but if you think about it, it's not really that ridiculous after all. Almost all scientists believe that there is life out there. Now, whilst we are flourishing here on planet Earth, probability suggests that there is life out there, and who knows what level of technological advancement they could be at. Now, if other life forms are threatening, they could want to destroy planet Earth. Also, we don't know what status their planet's at. If it's kind of a dying planet, if their sun's exploding, expanding, they might be looking for another place to live, which which means they could get rid of the whole human race. Now, whilst this does sound pretty elaborate, even Professor Stephen Hawking thinks this is a problem. He's a little bit worried about this, and Stephen Hawking is one of the greatest minds in the world. Getting slightly more plausible at number 8, we have the possibility of a solar flare. Now, solar flares have happened before. They are enormous magnetic outbursts from the sun that bombard the Earth with a torrent of high-speed subatomic particles. Now, these have happened before on a smaller scale. They can interrupt with telephone communications, they can raise the heat of the Earth, but if a really serious one happened, it could burn up the ozone layer and even fry planet Earth. It would be over for us. Staying intergalactic at number 7, we have black holes. Now guys, I hate to tell you this, but black holes are hanging out in our cosmic hood. Now, the most likely thing that would happen if a black hole entered our solar system would be planets would be torn from their orbits and smash into each other. Now, in the unlikely event that we missed out on all the planets smashing, asteroids would also be torn out of their orbit and pelt directly towards planet Earth. Boom. Now, if enough asteroids hit Earth, the whole kind of surface of the Earth could set fire. This would be a nightmare. But even if we avoided the planet smashing and the asteroids, if a black hole got close enough, Earth itself would be sucked in and we couldn't even deal with the density. Earth would literally implode or explode. We would die. Moving away from space and getting back down to planet Earth, at number 6, we have supervolcanoes. Now, you may not know this, but out here on planet Earth, we actually have volcanoes that, if they erupted, could destroy all humanity. One such massive volcano is the Yellowstone National Park in Wyoming, Montana, USA. Now, this measures 35 miles long and 45 miles wide. Now, this volcano erupts roughly every 600,000 years, and we are overdue an eruption now. Now, if the volcano did erupt, there would obviously be immediate complications with the lava that would knock out the surrounding area, so people kind of around there, they would die immediately. But also the volcanic ash would cloud the Earth, it would block out the sun, which could lead to a mini ice age. No one would survive. That's not the only supervolcano out there. There are in fact supervolcanoes in Italy, also in Canada, in Indonesia, in Japan, and in New Mexico. In at number 4 of our top 10 things that could destroy the Earth, we have a global pandemic. Now, a pandemic is an epidemic of infectious disease that spreads to a wide area. This could even spread to the surface of the Earth. Everyone on Earth could be infected with a disease in a worst-case pandemic scenario. Now, in the Middle Ages, the bubonic plague roughly wiped out 50% of all Europeans. And in more recent times, we have the onslaught of Ebola. If there were ever to be a zombie apocalypse, this would count as a pandemic. Luckily, in today's modern age and modern technology and modern science, it's kind of unlikely. In at number 3, we have the burning of the ozone layer. Now, the ozone layer is pretty freaking important. It protects us from UV rays. Now, if we're exposed directly to these rays, we can get cancer. In fact, it's very likely that we would. Luckily, we have the ozone layer at the moment to filter this out. However, if it was burned up, we wouldn't have it. It could be a disaster. UV rays can also stunt the growth and photosynthesis of a variety of crops, and can also affect reproductivity in the aquatic life. So there is the possibility of humans destroying the ozone layer, and also a possibility of solar flares destroying it, which would end the Earth as we know it. Getting very close here, in at number 2 of the top 10 things that could destroy the Earth, we have getting hit by an asteroid. Now, I've tried to order this list from a scale of unlikely to more likely, and getting hit by an asteroid is actually, I hate to say, pretty likely. However, the scale and size totally depends. We'll probably be okay. So we all know of one scenario where an asteroid irrevocably changed the face of the Earth, and that is when an asteroid the size of the Isle of Wight hit Mexico 65 million years ago. Now, this asteroid absolutely totally wiped out the dinosaur population. Dinosaurs had been wandering the Earth for 160 million years before that, and they could not survive this. If it happened before, it could happen again. The entire human race could be wiped out, and if the asteroid was big enough, it could knock Earth out of its orbit, although this is very unlikely. Also, in the age that we're living in, we have developed systems that can blast asteroids up so they become smaller, so we probably don't need to worry about this. Probably.